So what I'm going to talk about briefly is the transition to GemTalk from GemStone. Dan's already covered most of that. GemStone 32-bit, GemStone 64-bit. So what's changing since I was here last year? Well, I've got a different shirt and a different logo on the screen. Really not a whole lot else besides that. We've been away from VMware now since May, and we're still kind of settling in, but we're mostly there. We have a new domain name, new email addresses, although I think the VMware ones are still forwarded. New phone numbers and some more licensing options for our customers.
Will the product change name to, or will it be GemStone?
That's a good question. The question was, will the product change name or is it still GemStone? The product is still GemStone and will remain GemStone. The company name had to change because they used GemStone in the product documentation for the Java product GemFire, and they didn't want to change all the documentation around the world, so they said, no, you can't have it. But with GemStone, because we have GemStone S and so on, and the other product's named GemFire, they said you can keep the product name, you just have to change the company name. So then that was an unbelievably huge fight. But we that's where we ended up after months of negotiations with lawyers and things you don't even want to imagine. Anyway, the name is still GemStone for the product, GemStone S, GemBuilder for Smalltalk, etc. The entire team came over, 100% retention, so everyone that was at VMware doing GemStone S is now at GemTalk doing GemStone S. All support and licensing obligations were assumed by GemTalk. That's part of the contract between GemStone and VMware, so it's 100% transition. And the technical support has not changed. I've still used the same system, same engineers working on it. Other things that are not changing is obviously our support of the community. We're here. Same people are here wearing different shirts, but we're all here. And Dan mentioned this in his slides as well. We're sponsorships for all the major Smalltalk conferences in the world. ESUG, STIC, FAST here in Argentina, and the Faro Consortium. So we've picked up all those obligations from VMware as well. So that's kind of the summary of the transition between the companies. GemStone 32-bit, VMware had announced that this product was going end of life, and we have suspended that indefinitely for now. It probably will still happen, but VMware had given customers a date of October 2015, which was too soon for some of our customers. So we have pulled that back. And there is now no official end of life date for GemStone 32, but we would still like to do that. That said, it is a product in maintenance mode, and nearly all of our resources are focused on GemStone 64. So the product is kind of out there. We are doing releases on it. We just did a release of 664 for one of our major customers on GemStone 32 with bug fixes and a couple of new features, but we're doing one or two of those a year at most, and will probably be less as time goes forward. GemStone 64 version 2 is what most customers are running in production today. The current version is 2.4.5.3. We did some major tuning there for one of our customers on AIX, the IBM flavor of Unix, and we're working on 2.4.6 right now with some optimizations for database in memory. Something called find reference path changes, where if you have an object that doesn't go away after garbage collection, you don't know why. Well, how is this object connected to the tree of 5 billion objects in your database? We have some tools that analyze that for you, and we're expanding that for some of our customers, because this can be a real problem when you have 5 billion objects to manage and you don't know how it's being referenced. All it takes is one developer to miss one back pointer and the object stays alive forever. And of course, lots of bug fixes. Version 3.1 is our current release on the GemStone 3X. 3.105 is, I think, just shipped as of this week. And we've done some bug fixes in this release, mostly for hot standby, which is the what Oracle calls clustering, where you can have a standby database or more than one. For power failures or disaster recovery. So we're at 3.105 here. We're currently working on 3.2 as our next major release, and that was supposed to happen in July, but that date was planned before the transition to GemTalk was known, so that's been pushed out due to moves and moving all of our servers to new data centers and all kinds of boring things that disrupt us. So 3.2 is being worked on. We're currently shooting for the end of first quarter next year to get that out. Some of the main highlights in 3.2, latest OS version supports such as Solaris 11, rolling to the latest version of all the open source software that we include with GemStone, SSL, LDAP, things like that. A few of the new features is we're continuing to multi-thread the product using C threads wherever we can to make operations on very large databases more efficient, such as page reclamation, garbage collection, things like that. Again, this is designed for our very large customers that have 5-6 billion objects, in multiple hundreds of gigabytes approaching a terabyte of data. So when the repositories get this large, then the time to do certain things really gets onerous if it's a single thread. We're also doing a lot with Unicode, continuing to do that. We started that in 3.1. We're continuing that with 3.2. There's a package called ICU, which is an open source package for managing Unicode that has been in the database for a while, since 3.1. But we're adding some optimized collections for Unicode and adding support to our indexes. Also, a fairly major overhaul to the indexing subsystem that Dale's been working on for 3.2. This is the first major change we've done in indexing since, I think, version 2.1, if I remember right. So it's been several years coming. I'm not going to go through all that because I'm running a little short on time. We have more encryption support in 3.2 to try to keep the NSA from looking at your objects. Since GemStone 3, we've had the OpenSSL package embedded in GemStone for encryption, and we're adding more methods as an API to that as we go. And this time we've added support for AES encryption, 128, 192, and 256-bit keys. So you can take a character collection and encrypt it and decrypt it with a key and a salt. Other new features for the hot standby support, we've added SSL support for sending the data over the channel to the backup database. Most customers do that within a data center, just over a LAN, so that's not always required. But if you want to run a hot standby database out on the cloud somewhere and encrypt everything, you can now do that. 3.2. Something else that's coming is a thread-safe C interface. The GCI means GemStone C interface, which is our low-level API to C and C++, and a new thread-safe version of that is coming as kind of a preview feature in 3.2, which will be the interface of record at a subsequent release later on. It'll coexist with the existing interface, so anybody has code in C that uses GemStone, it won't break. But there's been demand for several years for a thread-safe interface in C, and we're finally getting to do that. This tool is called VSD, which means Visual Stat Display. Anybody that's maintained a production GemStone system may recognize this. We have finally gotten around to overhauling this and moving it forward for much faster loading of very large files. And we added a session ID column, which is easier to search with. We've also got this to build on Windows 7. It was previously compiled on, I think, Win2K. And we had to roll forward most of the open source packages. This is written in Tickle and TCL, and rolling forward quite a few number of versions with that. So that was kind of a big job, but it works. It's much more stable, especially on Windows now, and it's just a lot faster. So that's coming also in version 3.2. This is actually available for download on our download site now because it's not directly tied to the GemStone version. You could use any VSD version with any version of the server. Just to review our supported platforms, we're on Linux, Intel, 64-bit, Apple. You can run on any of the Apple Intel platforms, Oracle Solaris Spark, Oracle Solaris Intel, and IBM AIX are our server platforms where we can actually run the database itself. On the clients, we also support Windows and Linux and Solaris for Visual Age and Visual Works. Visual Age, I think, has less. I think it's mostly just Windows support at this time. The licensing models have been relaxed since we became GemTalk. VMware had done away with things like annual subscription licenses and so on for the product. We've brought that back. So we want a license, however, is good for our customers. Perpetual is the only one VMware supported. Buy it once, own it forever. Annual subscription is now available, so you pay a fee every year to use it. And if you want to stop using it, you don't pay, that's fine. As well as value-added reseller VARs, such as our partners like Mercap that are here. And this is the web edition. Again, you can get started with GemStone S for free for a commercial application anytime you want. This is designed to scale as you go and grow. So that you can start for free, and as the business grows, you can start paying us a little bit of money, and as the business hopefully becomes the next Facebook, you can pay us a lot of money. That's the design. Hasn't happened yet, but we're still hoping.
What's the difference between repository size and max SBC?
Max SBC means maximum shared page cache size. That's the size of the shared memory segment GemStone uses. So there's limits with that. But we don't limit the number of objects. So what happens is as you grow and you can't increase your SBC size, the performance starts to suffer. So, and that's all my slides. Are there any questions?
I have a question for you. That's all right, but coming from the previous talk. You talked a lot about how reliable it is, that it doesn't crash, and you show examples that are all amazing. It's all amazing. But it also comes down to the quality of the software being on top of the platform, right? Because it's not only the platform that we know it's amazing, but also the people doing the software. Because it also shows that the users are good. How does that turn out to be? Is it like, I don't know, for every customer they are good, or I don't know, how is it? Because, you can do crap in any language, right?
Well, sure. We're talking about crashing. We mean the database coming down, so all the users on the database can't access any objects. When we say it doesn't crash, we're saying that doesn't happen. Any Smalltalk application, of course, you can get walkbacks. We don't count that as a crash.
But still, then, you do have customers that do ugly code, but then still the database doesn't crash. Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
There's ugly code in every language in the world.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because of the simplicity, gentlemen, it's less likely that your code is ugly. You have to work very hard to do ugly code.
Sometimes ugly code runs very fast and beautiful code runs very slow. It depends. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.